Salisbury, home to Sir Edward Heath Museum. Ms. Anna Lords, MP Chairman of the Labour Party, Honourable Lord Newby, Liberal Democrat Group Leader at the House of Lords, Mr. Tom Tigendut, MP Chairman of the House Commons Foreign Affairs Select Committee, Mr. Bob Blackman, MP, Vice Chair of the All Party Parliamentary Group on Bangladesh, Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Her Excellency Ms. Gayatri Kumar, High Commissioner of India to the United Kingdom, Mr. Sultan Mahmud Sharif, member of the Central Student Action Committee during 1971 British Bangladesh Freedom Movement, and our beloved British Bangladeshi diaspora, as well as diaspora from Ireland who've joined us today. A very good afternoon to everyone from London, Bangladesh High Commission London, and our sincere thanks to all of you for joining us virtually today, despite and defying the Omicron challenges and very busy diaries on a working day. It is a profound honor for me as High Commissioner of Bangladesh to the UK to welcome you all to this special commemorative event, and the historic 8 January, organized by Bangladesh High Commission London on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of this Red Letter Day in Bangladesh-UK bilateral relations, whereby Bangladesh's father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, visited and made his maiden visit to the UK here in London en route his historic homecoming to the newly independent Bangladesh. In 2021 and 22, Bangladesh and the UK are celebrating 50 years of our friendship and diplomatic relations that was established on 4 February 1972. And yet, and of course, we are also celebrating the birthday of the Bangabandhu until the 31st of March 2022. Today's event is one of the series of events that Bangladesh High Commission London have dedicated to celebrate birth centenary of our founding father. But also today's event is celebration of 8 January 1972, a visit that laid the foundation of today's Bangladesh-UK strong and vibrant bilateral relations. At the outset, I pay my deepest homage and tribute to the undisputed leader of Bengali civil rights movement and architect of Bangladesh's independence, the greatest Bengali of all time, father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, especially on his birth centenary and also the 50th anniversary of this epic date, 8 January 1970. Over the past 2 years, Bangladesh High Commission London, especially since the birth centenary of Bangabandhu, 8 January 1970 to 2021, we have been trying our best, and I have as High Commissioner to the UK tried my best to bring forth the significance of 8 January 1972, which we believe, and I believe, laid the foundation of Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations. And we have tried to bring the importance and significance of 8 January known to this generation of British politicians across the party, from the Conservative Party, the Labour Party, the Lib Dem Party, and also to parliaments such as the Wales Parliament, the First Minister of Wales, the First Minister of Scotland, etc., and also to Ireland. And last year when we organised the 8 January, we had the participation of Lord Ahmed, we had the participation of, again, maiden leader of the Conservative Party, the deputy leader, Labour Party, the opposition leader, Keir Starmer. Everyone participated and sort of remembered what happened on 8 January. It was very important to bring it to this generation of British politicians. What was the foundation of Bangladesh-UK relations? And for that, we have to go back to what happened in 8 January. Obviously, 8 January was, a day when Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, after being released from his confinement in Pakistan prison for 9 months and a half, landed in London. And then subsequently, a series of events happened. It was just a one-day visit, but it actually was the de jure recognition of, de facto recognition of United Kingdom, by United Kingdom of Bangladesh. I will reflect on 4 points why it was so significant, but before that, I do want to take this opportunity to mention that we are honored to have amongst us our Honorable Foreign Minister, His Excellency Dr. A.K. Abdul Momin as our chief guest. And I want to, on behalf of my colleagues, express our gratitude to Honorable Foreign Minister for gracing today's event as chief guest and also giving us time during his constituency day in Sylhet. We are also deeply indebted and honored to have a very distinguished panel of cross-party politicians from the UK, including the chairman of the Conservative Party, His Excellency Right Honourable Oliver Dowden, as well as the chair of the Labour Party, Labour Party, Miss Annalisa Dodds, MP, as well as the Lib Dems House of Lords leader, Lord Neeby, and of course, a very good friend, Tom Tigandut, MP, Foreign Affairs Select Committee Chair, Bob Blackman, MP, another good friend of Bangladesh and Vice Chair of the Conservative Friends of Bangladesh, as well as the All Party Parliamentary Group on Bangladesh, and our from Commonwealth Secretary General, Baroness Patricia Scotland, and of course the Indian High Commissioner and our other speakers. I want to thank all of them for gracing our event today. At the outset, I would like to pay my deepest homage. I've already said, paid our homage to our father of the nation, Bangabandhu, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. But I would also like to pay a homage to Sir Edward Heath, Prime Minister of UK in 1971, a Conservative Prime Minister who, for Bangladesh, played a key role in setting the tone with Bangabandhu of what would be Bangladesh-UK relations, what kind of values would this relationship carry. And of course, I also pay a tribute to Sir Harold Wilson, who also called on Bangabandhu on 8 January, demonstrating cross-party support to the newly independent Bangladesh. Now, the significance of 8 January. Of course, 8 January talks about geopolitics of the day, whereby Bangladesh was fighting a liberation, armed liberation struggle, sort of a guerrilla war. And towards the end, on 6th of December, Bhutan was the first country to recognize Bangladesh in India. And then Indian troops came into Bangladesh. And on 16th December, a third state was created in South Asia, apart from India and Pakistan, the way the British government had in decolonization of the subcontinent. However, that third state, the acceptance of the third state, because the leader of this independent movement had founded Bangladesh and fought the liberation war based on certain values of the disenfranchisement that took place during the last 23 years, and the racial and religion-based discriminations that were taking place, and there was no democracy during that time. So therefore, the values that Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman founded Bangladesh on, democracy, secularism, Bengali cultural nationalism and inclusion, and social justice, these were the very values that were accepted by the United Kingdom leadership at that time as the foundation of recognizing Bangabandhu and Bangladesh on 8 January. And of course, it was it was the foundation of the value-based relationship, as mentioned by Prime Minister Boris Johnson in our 50th anniversary message. Again, on 8 January, it's so significant that there was contribution by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and Sir Edward Heath. Srimati Indira Gandhi had made several visits to, on her diplomatic campaign, requested by the provisional government of Bangladesh. And while the government of independent Bangladesh was campaigning globally to, to release Bangabandhu and bring him back to Bangladesh, Srimati Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India, had also made trips to London, trips to Moscow, trips to Washington, D.C. And therefore, today I would like to pay a tribute to her because there was a very important geopolitical role she played in having Bangabandhu brought back from Pakistan jail into London. And, the few things that took place between the Edward Heath and Bangabandhu meeting at number 10 are extremely important. Number one is Edward Heath, Bangabandhu requested UK's early recognition of Bangladesh. And it is no surprise that after 8 January, while after Bhutan and India, UK was the third or fourth country that recognized Bangladesh. And the fact that on 8 January, British Prime Minister Edward Heath already addressed Bangabandhu as president and acknowledged him as independent Bangladesh's president prompted many other Western countries to recognize Bangladesh on 4 February 1972, the day UK gave de jure recognition to Bangladesh. The other request Prime Minister Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman made to Prime Minister Edward Heath was to write to US President Nixon to recognize early Bangladesh, as well to work on request US President to ask Pakistan to recognize Bangladesh, because unless Pakistan recognizes Bangladesh, of course, it was a liberation movement to separate from Pakistan. So it was that he kept that request and he wrote that letter. And of course, he also requested Sir Edward Heath to support Bangladesh's membership in the Commonwealth. That also happened exactly within 2 months in April, and with Her Majesty's royal assent. And of course, he also requested Prime Minister Edward Heath to support Bangladesh's post-independence reconstruction. The other significance of 8 January is the press conference. That was actually the first press conference, international press conference, where Bangabandhu launched his global public diplomacy and global media diplomacy and made an appeal to the world, what happened in Bangladesh. And this quote over here, and you can see the quote, "Today I'm free to share the unbounded joy." He shared the unbounded joy, but he also said no other nation had to sacrifice so much through blood and war as Bangladesh did, and the world should come forward, especially the United Kingdom, to support Bangladesh war reconstruction. And hence, with these words, I do want to mention that just like we have worked over the past 2 years, whether I'm here or not, I do want 8 January to find a permanent place in Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations. And that is why this year, today, on its 50th anniversary, Bangladesh High Commission London has taken the initiative. We believe that we want to declare an award, the award of, we still don't know whether to name it Bangabandhu Edward Heath Award, because of the two, that meeting that took place, or the 8 January Award. So we are yet to decide it, but we want to set up an 8 January Foundation and an 8 January Award for promoting, recognizing those who contribute selflessly across the party in promoting Bangladesh-UK friendship. With these words, I just want to, recall that this is still the birth centenary of the Bangabandhu, and Bangabandhu, regarding Bangabandhu, a man without whom there would be no Bangladesh, and we want to pay our tribute to Bangabandhu once again. With these words, I would like to request our first speaker of the day. Sorry, we have a documentary. Okay, we do have a documentary on 8 January, but before that, we want to give the floor to Mr. Tom Tigendat MP, who's the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee at the UK Parliament. Tom is an Afghan war veteran, and he retired from the British Army, left the British Army in July 2013. He has been contributing in promoting Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations, and he has, as chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee since 2017, he has been making a lot of contribution, very significant contributions in promoting bilateral relations with, Britain's bilateral relations with other countries in South Asia, including Bangladesh. Tom, you have the floor.
Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency. It's an enormous privilege to be here with you today on the 50th anniversary, and a wonderful celebration, not just of the relationship between our countries at an official level, but actually a much more fundamental relationship between our two peoples. What Sir Edward Heath and Bangabandhu brought together really was the beginning of a very close personal friendship between peoples across these countries, across these islands. Now, I can tell you, I am privileged to represent many people of the Bangladesh diaspora in the UK. I'm very lucky that in every community in my constituency, there are Bangladeshi diaspora communities, and I'm very privileged to say that one of the members of your diaspora community also ran for council. Sadly, not successfully just recently, but I hope very much he will be successful very soon. He's a fan vigil. So, at every level, and even as conservative activists, I'm very, very pleased to see that this relationship is so close. Now, I must say that this is a huge privilege for me to be here today, because Your Excellency Foreign Minister, it is such a privilege to have you here with us, though virtually, and indeed to have many other friends, to have Oliver and John and Annalise and Bob, of course, from Parliament, but also to have Gayatri, if you'll forgive me for using your first name. It is such a privilege to see you here today as well, because this relationship is a relationship that speaks, I think, essentially to the importance of the Commonwealth in our lives, to the importance of the connections and what Prime Minister Modi called the living bridge between us, that is not just to his own country, but to many countries. And I think that the very strong emphasis that we see in this, that the first trip that Bangabandhu made when he was released from detention during the War of Liberation was to London. Before even he was officially the president of Bangladesh, he was already received as head of state effectively by the then Prime Minister Ted Heath. And I think that really does speak to the recognition that we've always had each other, the recognition that we've had of a very clear relationship, a very important relationship between us. I have to say, actually, that it's worth remembering that a few years later, when Bangabandhu was on his first real trip, a sort of official trip, if you'll excuse the expression, to the UK, Ted Heath did something that I don't think prime ministers have done very often, and he broke precedents. He actually went to go and see Bangabandhu in his hotel in Claridge's, because this was normally, of course, foreign leaders come to see the prime minister. It was very for the prime minister to go and see him, but I think it speaks to a warmth and a personal friendship that the two shared. Now, of course, the past is important because it is the foundations of our future, but the reality is that there is more to our relationship than the past. And here, if I may, I'm going to pay a small personal tribute to the government of Bangladesh today for the extraordinary work that you are doing in supporting the Rohingya community in the east of your country that have been so persecuted in Burma. You may know that the first report that I did, the first piece of work that I did when I took over the chairmanship of the Foreign Affairs Committee in 2017, was into the abuses that we saw in Burma. The courage and the integrity and indeed the strength with which the government of Bangladesh under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina have stood by the Rohingya community is inspiring and a real example to so many. So may I pay a huge personal tribute to both her and the Bangladeshi people for that extraordinary courage. Now, I'm also going to pay a final tribute, if I may, before I hand over to my dear colleagues, to the Bangladeshi diaspora community. I've already told you about one or two who I'm privileged to call friends, but this relationship, this enrichment of the UK that we've had from this relationship has been so important to all of us, to the extent that it is very difficult today to imagine the United Kingdom without Bangladesh. It's very difficult today to talk about the United Kingdom without the presence of the Bangladeshi diaspora community. From all parts of the United Kingdom, in every accent, in every town, in every village, there is a connection that links our people together. And I think today, 50 after the wonderful visit of Bangabandhu, this is a celebration that we must all share. So may I say shukriya today. Thank you very much indeed for the extraordinary gift that we have had of having this shared relationship. And may I say a huge happy birthday, if that's the correct expression, happy anniversary for the wonderful 50 years that we've shared. And let us look forward to another 50 years of great joy, of great shared enterprise, and indeed to working together with our friends around the world to promote the values that we all share, democracy, and of tolerance, of enterprise, and of course, build up the Commonwealth that has defended and supported us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I hope you don't mind calling you by your first name.
Please.
Being a friend, coming from the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, we take all the compliments. We absolutely absorbed all the compliments you gave to Bangladesh and our Bangladesh-UK relations. Of course, Bangladesh-UK relations is based on values, as I mentioned, but also we have a huge transactional relationship. UK is our third largest export destination. It's the second largest investor, and our British Bangladeshi diaspora is one of the third or fourth largest amongst diaspora community overseas. We have nearly 700,000 plus British Bangladeshis now in the UK, and I'm very happy to learn that someone from your constituency have contested the elections. Keep trying and they'll succeed. Thank you for all your support to our community, particularly the British Bangladeshi diaspora and your community. But I just want to highlight two facts from your speech, from your comments. Number one is Bangabandhu Sheikh, as you know, that the independent Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared independence on 26th of March. After that, on 17th of April, the government of independent Bangladesh was already created republic. And Bangabandhu was made the president. So he was, as far as Bangladesh is concerned, he was already the president of independent Bangladesh, a government and a state that already India and Bhutan had recognized. And perhaps UK was probably the third or fourth to recognize. So, but, on 8th of January, Prime Minister Edward Heath, thank you very much for mentioning that he came out. He made an exception. He came out of number 10, opened the door for him, and also saw him off. So all these gestures and calling him president, Mr. President, does give de facto to recognize UK to Bangladesh. And number two is, I just want to highlight, which I forgot to mention, taking a cue from your remarks, the contributions of British Bangladeshi diaspora in releasing Bangabandhu. I mentioned, the provisional government of Bangladesh. I mentioned Srimati Indira Gandhi and other Indian, a host of Indian politicians. But the British Bangladeshi diaspora, they made demonstrations from 26 March, 28 March from Birmingham until December 1971 at Trafalgar Square, at Hyde Park, with 3 banners, recognize Bangladesh, release Bangabandhu, and stop genocide. So, taking note of the genocide that happened in Bangladesh. And I do hope, Tom, that you will help us bring this genocide story to the fore in the United Kingdom. Thank you very much for joining us once again. I would now like to give the floor to Mr. John Glenn MP. We are not playing the documentary at this point because we are extremely grateful to him for joining us today, and he has to go. Mr. John Glenn is the Minister of State and Economic Secretary to Her Majesty's Treasury, and most importantly, we had made a request to him to join us today because he's Member of Parliament from Salisbury, where home to Sir Edward Heath, where he died. And in his home currently, there's an Edward Heath museum called the Arundels. And, we are extremely grateful for him to join us today. Why did we invite him? We want him to know about the legacy of Edward Heath in building Bangladesh-UK bilateral relations and his friendship with Bangabandhu. You have the floor, sir, Mr. Glenn.
Well, thank you very much indeed for the opportunity to be with you. I am extremely grateful, and as the Constituency Member of Parliament for Salisbury, I have had the privilege of having Edward Heath's legacies with me over my 12 years as the Member of Parliament. And his role those 50 years ago, as has been said throughout this conversation this afternoon, has been instrumental. And I'm very proud that of the role that he's played in terms of developing that relationship between the United Kingdom and Bangladesh. And I can attest myself as a constituency member of Parliament for the enormous contribution that the Bangladeshi community play in Salisbury. Councillor Atikul Hoque has been a remarkable advocate for Bangladesh in Salisbury, and I would warmly welcome all of you to visit Arundels, to visit the home of Sir Edward Heath, somebody who lived in Salisbury for 20 years after he was Prime Minister. But I know that we enjoy, as Tom has said, very strong relations. They are deepening all the time. I know Lord Ahmed visited Bangladesh just a few months ago, and I hope that I will have the opportunity to do so too with Councillor Hoque at some point in the future. But I suppose I'm sort of the representative of Sir Edward Heath on this call and his memory in the important relationship that we share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Glenn, for joining us today and for your brief remarks. Rest assured that I actually sought permission to visit Arundels and your constituency on 8th of January. It was a Saturday, but due to COVID restrictions, we could not. But certainly, we have already rescheduled because, we want to honor the month January when Bangabandhu came to the UK, and that famous, the very significant meeting took place. So I think we're going there around 26th or 27th January. I still haven't confirmed. The Lord Lieutenant would be there and the Mayor would be there. We really hope that you'll be there too. So, do carry forward this story of Bangabandhu Edward Heath, and I hope you'll do that. You'll always remain a friend of 8th of January. So thank you for attending our event today.
Thank you.
And now, I'd like to request Ms. Annalise Dodds, Chair of the Labour Party, to take the floor. I just want to, before that, I want to mention that on 8th of January, the then opposition leader, Sir Harold Wilson, also called on Bangabandhu at the Claridge's where he was lodged. And there's a famous photograph, I don't know if that can be seen here, but they were actually perhaps not being seen here because they were lighting their pipes together. They were both pipe smokers. Great friendship, that continued between Bangabandhu and Edward Heath and Bangabandhu and Sir Harold Wilson until his assassination in 1975. He often used to call them and take advice on many things. So there was a very close friendship and what can I say, and time-enduring friendship between them. But many labor leaders took to demonstrations at the Trafalgar Square, including in 1969, Sir Thomas Williams QC went to Bangladesh as his defense counsel, the initiative of British Bangladeshi diaspora who paid for it. So, today having the chair of the Labour Party is also very significant on the context of 8th of January and Bangladesh, UK support to Bangladesh during the 1971 war. You have the floor, madam.
Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency. It's wonderful to be with you again, albeit virtually, and also to be with so many different esteemed guests. I must say particularly His Excellency Dr. A.K. Gul Momin, MP, the Honourable Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, of course, who's also attending this event, and so many other luminaries really from the British Bangladeshi community also. And it's wonderful to be able to celebrate with you such a historic anniversary of the 50 years since that very, very important visit. So much has already been said about that visit. I wanted to underline in the short time that I have, Your Excellency, that strong relationship that did indeed exist between the Labour Party and Bangabandhu, and particularly a number of individuals from the Labour Party. That's been very important indeed for us for a very long period. Reference was just made to the special relationship that there was between what was then the leader of the opposition, of course, Sir Harold Wilson, who then went on twice to be Labour Prime Minister. He paid a courtesy visit on Bangabandhu, also in Claridge's, of course, during that first important visit. But he also then went on to make another visit to recuperating Bangabandhu during a second visit later on in the year. And as was mentioned, there was a strong friendship there, a shared philosophy, of course, of social democracy and commitment to the welfare of people, which was very clear. And there were very frequent phone conversations between the two leaders until the appalling assassination in August 1975. And friends of the two leaders, and I think that's reflected in some of the photographs that we can see, they often referred to the fact that they had a very genial relationship on first name terms. And on hearing the news of the brutal assassination of Bangabandhu, Sir Harold wrote, as people may know, I'm sure, to a Bangladeshi journalist, stating that this is surely a supreme national tragedy for you, so for Bengalis, but for me, it's a personal tragedy. Dimensions. And Your Excellency, you already referred to the work of Sir Thomas Williams QC, but there were a number of other Labour figures who counted Bangabandhu as a friend at that time. Also Lord Brockway, Mr. Michael Barnes, CBE, Sir Peter Shore, and others as well. And of course, that friendship has continued. It's continued with Bangabandhu's daughter, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who maintained regular contact with Labour Prime Minister Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, current Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer. And of course, the Labour Party is very proud to have Bangabandhu's granddaughter, Tulip Siddiq, as a very prominent front bencher within our party. And we benefit, I would say, right across the Labour Party from the Bangladeshi diaspora. We now have 4 British MPs hailing from that community, 1 member of the Scottish Parliament, and 1 Lord of Bangladesh, and more than 110 British Bangladeshi councillors from the Labour Party. And I've been incredibly proud that that includes within my own city of Oxford. Of course, we also know about the incredible economic contribution that's already rightly been referred to. I would also underline the social contribution that's been particularly clear during this epidemic. And there are some, I believe, on this call from the business community in Oxford, from the Bangladeshi diaspora, who did so much to protect people during this COVID period in my own city and indeed across the country, and the cultural, strong and positive cultural impact as well. And of course, we continue to share concern around the issue that, of course, Bangladesh has been working so hard on with 1.1 million refugees, the Rohingya refugees that Bangladesh has been providing a sanctuary to. And of course, the Labour Party shares the concern about the situation and their need for security into the future. Grateful for that sanctuary. So just to finish, Your Excellency, it's such a privilege for me to be here with so many luminaries from the British Bangladeshi community and to be celebrating that legacy with you, which does indicate the very strong ties still between our two nations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dodds. We're very honored to have you. You assumed chairmanship of the Labour Party recently, and we wish you all the best of luck in your current position. Thank you for mentioning, the 5 Bangladeshi parliamentarians, 4 from the House of Commons and 1 from House of Lords, all Labour and all women. So that speaks about the Bangladesh British diaspora and how, just like in Bangladesh, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Bangladesh is every year upping its position in the World Economic Forum's Gender Parity Index. Because 1 decade of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's governance of Bangladesh, women workforce has had a huge jump from about 24% to 42% of the economy and more, former labor force. And of course, when it comes to gender parity in education, there are more girls in Bangladesh than boys in primary, secondary schools, and now we are looking into tertiary. So World Economic Forum says that politically Bangladesh is the 5th most gender equal country after many Western European countries. So we're competing with them when it comes to political empowerment of women, and when it comes to economic and social, we're not that much lagging behind within the first 25. So there's a reflection in our diaspora of women empowerment, and I pay a tribute to all the women in our diaspora. And thank you for mentioning the role of our British Bangladeshi diaspora during COVID, especially at the NHS as doctors and nurses. They've saved lives, and they've our British Bangladeshi hospitality sector has sent so much charity, has raised so much funds, charity funds, and distributed it here in the UK as well as to Bangladesh and many other countries. And our media, British Bangladeshi media also raised humongous amounts of funds for charity during COVID to support businesses here in the UK and vulnerable groups here in the UK, also in Bangladesh. Thank you for joining us once again, and thank you for mentioning the friendship between Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and Sir Harold Wilson. We now have the pleasure and honor of requesting Commonwealth Secretary General, Baroness Patricia Scotland, who's joined us today. As I mentioned in my previous comments, that Prime Minister Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's historic meeting with Prime Minister Edward Heath at number 10 was also instrumental in, Bangabandhu did request Edward Heath that he wants Bangladesh would like to become members of international organizations, and Commonwealth was the one, absolutely a low-hanging fruit here in London, and Edward Heath did support Bangladesh's membership. On April 18, 1972, Bangladesh became a member of the Commonwealth under the strong and dynamic leadership and diplomatic leadership, stewardship of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Currently, Bangladesh and Commonwealth, just last COP26, Commonwealth Secretary General and CWEIC Chair Lord Marland had declared a Bangladesh Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Green Business Award at the sidelines of the COP26 at the Commonwealth Pavilion. I want to thank Baroness Patricia Scotland for honoring our father of the nation and promoting the climate leadership that Bangladesh takes across the Commonwealth, and as the chair of Climate Vulnerable Forum with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's uncompromising leadership on speaking the voice of the climate vulnerables. Baroness Patricia Scotland, you have the floor.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
joining us.
Good morning from Guyana, and I'm deeply grateful to Her Excellency Saida Muna Tasneem, the Bangladesh High Commissioner, and my dear friend, for inviting me to represent the Commonwealth at this special event. Together, we commemorate the historic 8th of January, the maiden visit to the United Kingdom of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman as President of the independent Bangladesh in 1972. I'm honored to be amongst such distinguished colleagues in making this special anniversary. 50 years on from the moment in history when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman stepped off the plane in London on his release from a 9-month imprisonment, we look back on Bangabandhu as the father of a proud nation. We also look back on 50 years of full, active, and beneficial Commonwealth membership for Bangladesh. Partnership between Bangladesh and the Commonwealth has blossomed since the heads of government meeting in 1973 and 1975 in Ottawa and Kingston, when Bangabandhu was welcomed by Her Majesty the Queen as the leader of Bangladesh's first Commonwealth heads of government meeting delegations. And I celebrate our partnership by recognizing the presence of His Excellency Dr. Abdul Momen, the Bangladesh Foreign Minister. Dr. Momen is a distinguished and experienced diplomat who makes a contribution to our family of nations. And I also warmly welcome the presence here today of Her Excellency Ms. Gayatri Isa Kumar, who is India's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. My friends, Bangladesh stands tall in the Commonwealth as the founding champion of the Action Group on Commonwealth Blue Charter, as the business-to-business connectivity cluster lead under the Commonwealth Connectivity Agenda, with a strong record of women's empowerment and an end to racial discrimination, with a key role as chair of the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana, which has given great support in relation to the jurisdictional challenges presented historically by Venezuela, and with a vital program on climate change. And I congratulate Bangladesh for successfully co-hosting the first Commonwealth Climate Vulnerable Forum Leaders Summit on climate prosperity at COP20. Sheikh Hasina herself came to our Commonwealth Pavilion with such style and panache. And I look forward to working with the Climate Vulnerable Forum under Bangladesh's presidency in pursuit of a climate resilient and prosperous future for all vulnerable nations. And I recognize, as we all should, that the compassion and humanitarian leadership Bangladesh has shown in hosting the Rohingya. Indeed, Bangladesh has hosted the largest number of forcibly displaced in the world. And under my leadership, the Commonwealth will continue to stand by Bangladesh and to support the Gambia, a fellow Commonwealth member in the Rohingyas case brought before the International Court of Justice. Bangladesh's leadership, spearheaded by Her Excellency Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, will serve us well again as we approach the next Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting set to take place in Kigali later this year. So my friends, only the partnerships which are shaped and nourished by values can endure and thrive for 50 years and more. And the Commonwealth, first major international organization that independent Bangladesh joined. And it was the values that Bangabandhu championed, matched with the values that underpin the Commonwealth family of nations, that make our partnership work and keep it so strong. Values of democracy, peace, freedom, human rights, and justice. Values of tolerance, social justice, and inclusiveness. On the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's independence and the centenary of Bangabandhu's birth, we can say with gratitude that these were his values. And we can also say with pride that they remain our values. With this event, we recognize one day in history that helped to set the tone for decades to come. The spirit of the historic 8th of January remains strong, as do the partnerships it sparked. Long may the legacy of that day live on, and long may our work together continue. And I thank you for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to all of those who have joined to celebrate the achievements that Bangladesh has so rightly delivered in the last 50 years. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia, for all those kind words towards Bangladesh, and particularly mentioning Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's humanitarian leadership and diplomacy in sheltering 1.1 million Rohingya refugees, or forcibly displaced, the largest number of forcibly displaced people in the world. By doing so, actually, our Prime Minister and Bangladesh is contributing to peace, stability, particularly at the Bay of Bengal. As you know, that Rohingyas were going to many of the countries in ASEAN and neighboring countries, and by sheltering them, we're actually contributing to bring stability in the region at the cost of our own security. But thank you very much for mentioning that, and also the climate leadership and Bangabandhu's values. As I've always told you, in his first speech at the Commonwealth, in the Ottawa summit, Bangabandhu did speak again of the vulnerables and called upon the Commonwealth leaders to particularly look after the rights and the interests of the vulnerable people. And so his daughter, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, it is no surprise as the leader of Climate Vulnerable Forum, was termed by the BBC of the 5 most important deal makers, the 5 top deal makers at the COP26, whereby she presented a COP26, the first COP CVF summit was also held, just like the first Commonwealth CVF summit. She also organized the first COP26 and CVF summit, whereby she had proposed a was adopted a declaration, which was the CVF COP26 Climate Emergency Pact. And with the Commonwealth, we signed up to a CVF Commonwealth Climate Prosperity Partnership. These are all the initiatives of our Honorable Prime Minister when it comes to humanitarian and climate leadership of Bangladesh under her dynamic leadership. Thank you for mentioning that, and thank you for joining us today. We would like to now request Her Excellency Gayatri Kumar, High Commissioner of India to the UK, great friend also of Bangladesh High Commission and Bangladesh. This year, we just celebrated on last 6th of December the Bangladesh-India or India-Bangladesh friendship, 50 years of friendship between Bangladesh and India, which we are calling on 6th of December. Prime Minister Modi of India and Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh have declared 6th of December as the Bangladesh-India Maitri Divash, or Friendship Day. And we celebrated that, I celebrated that with Her Excellency Gayatri Kumar here in London, in style and grandeur, with participation of many British politicians there as well, and our 2 diasporas from Bangladesh and India. And I want to thank Excellency Gayatri Kumar for joining us today. And I want to take this opportunity to again pay a tribute to Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi, who had played such a significant role in making 8 January happen. So, Her Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. I hope I'm audible. Your Excellency, Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, Member of Parliament and Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Your Excellency, Madam Sayyida Muna Tasneem, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to the UK. I also would like to thank Honourable Mr. Tom Tugendhat, Chair, Foreign Affairs Select Committee, and Right Honourable Commonwealth Secretary General Baroness Patricia Scotland for acknowledging me. Honourable Mr. Oliver Dowden, Chair of the Conservative Party, Honourable Madam Annalise, Chair of the Labour Party, Honourable Mr. Bob Blackman, honorary Indian and popular leader of the Indian community here. A warm namaste to all the other distinguished participants in this very, very special commemorative event from me on behalf of the High Commission of India in London. Please allow me at the very outset to offer my best wishes for a very happy new year to you all. And a special greeting to the Bangladeshi community here in the UK. Your Excellencies, this year, the homecoming day of the revered Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Bangabandhu coincides with the centenary celebrations of his birth and also the golden jubilee of Bangladesh becoming a free and independent nation. Bangabandhu, revered as the father of the nation of Bangladesh and supreme commander of the country's liberation war, the forces, came back to independent Bangladesh via London and New Delhi on the 10th of January 1972. On that historic occasion, he was received by our then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi, who unhesitatingly spoke for the entire population of India in conveying India's deep commitment to assist his people in their fight for freedom, in their quest for the development and progress and prosperity of the nation of Bangladesh. And Bangabandhu's historic address, which was delivered from Delhi on the 10th of January 1972, recognized India's sincere contribution and laid the bedrock of our enduring friendship. I am, in fact, a proud recipient of a copy of a letter written on that day. It was a historic address. I have it over here with me. And I've received this from Her Excellency Commissioner of Bangladesh, Madam Saida Muna. Thank you so much. It's a very, very special copy of a very, very special letter at a very special moment in our history, and I shall cherish this. From it, I would like to quote a sentence where Bangabandhu had said, "I go back now to a free, independent, and sovereign Bangladesh. I go back to join my people in the tremendous tasks that now lie ahead, in turning our victory into the road of peace, progress, and prosperity. I go back not with any hatred in my heart, but with the satisfaction that truth has at last triumphed over falsehood, sanity over insanity, courage over cowardice, justice over injustice, and good over evil," unquote. So we are proud partners of Bangladesh today, and India, having fought shoulder to shoulder for its independence, Bangladesh continues to be regarded by the people of India as a very, very special neighbor, separated, not separated, and joined by a very long and border over which we can connect with each other at the people-to-people level on a very daily basis. And Bangabandhu continues to be regarded by the people of India as a charismatic and a visionary leader. And it is in this spirit that we honor his legacy. Today, Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, is admirably leading her nation in his vision of a democratic and secular Bangladesh. And under her leadership, Bangladesh has made tremendous progress economically and is today a shining example of one of the most progressive nations in our region. The historic approval accorded by the United Nations for the graduation of Bangladesh from an LDC to a developing country is a most recent landmark in its outstanding progress on the path of achieving the sacred goals, developmental goals of its people. Bangladesh today is not only one of India's closest neighbors, but also a valued partner in bilateral, regional, and sub-regional cooperation. In key international organizations, we have built on our common values to fashion a long-lasting and constructive approach to regional and global issues in the UN, Commonwealth, IORA, ASEAN, etc. We have, in fact, prioritized our maritime connectivity and joint research in the maritime domain. And to realize the full potential of our economic interdependence and considering the economic imperatives of the Bay of Bengal, we are working together for its conservation and development of cooperation as much as we can. And in parallel, we are cooperating in sustainable shipbuilding and maritime security. We know, we both know, that by developing and growing together, we can ensure that our prosperity provides opportunities to both our peoples. We do believe that not only do we share a common history, but a common destiny. During the state visit of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji to Bangladesh in March last year, he and the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina had agreed, as High Commissioner Saida Munaji just mentioned, they agreed that our governments would jointly celebrate Friendship Day, Maitri Divas, the day that India recognized Bangladesh, that is December 6, 1971. We would celebrate December 6th every year as Friendship Day. And it was a privilege to host the first ever such joint celebration here in London with Her Excellency Saida Muna Tasneemji, together with our communities here. Okay. And on that occasion, a very special painting was made by Bangladeshi artist Asadullah, and that is here. It was created on that occasion while we were in our celebration at the venue. Asadullah ji created this this canvas, which was presented to us by Her Excellency the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, which we shall again cherish. So today, 50 years into our comprehensive bilateral cooperation, our successes are in all sectors, from energy, education, defense and security, to, as I mentioned, blue economy and innovation. And our cooperation paradigm now focuses on connectivity and greater sub-regional cooperation in power generation and sharing. And we are exploring newer areas like power and energy connectivity through construction of petroleum and gas pipelines and transmission lines. And this is taking advantage of our geographical proximity, which makes people-to-people contact so much more fruitful and is geared for the development of this huge section of. So we both refer to the current state of our bilateral relationship as a golden chapter in our history, Shonali Adhyay. And the people of India, Excellencies, look forward to further strengthening our close cooperation with Bangladesh. With these words, I once again offer my warm greetings to Her Excellency Saida Muna Tasneemji and assure her once again that the excellent cooperation between our governments in New Delhi and Dhaka will inspire our close cooperation here as well. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Excellency Gayatri Kumar, for your wonderful comments highlighting the Sonali Adhyay, the golden chapter between Bangladesh and India, so boldly and strongly led by our two Prime Minister, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina and Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. And of course, thank you for mentioning the art of our two fathers of nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji and Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. As you know, that Bangabandhu had spent 7 years in Kolkata, and he joined the Mahatma Gandhi ji's peace mission. He's a man of peace and non-violence, and therefore, we were very happy to make that painting and give it to you. I do want to acknowledge that you had worked with Pranab Mukherjee, the president of India, and from there onwards, your support and friendship with Bangladesh is much appreciated. I would also like to just mention that Bangabandhu's foreign policy was friendship to all and malice towards none, and he signed the 30-year friendship treaty with India as well as the land boundary agreement, an agreement that Prime Minister Modi took the initiative to ratify after nearly half a century. So many thanks and gratitude to Prime Minister Modi for that, and to the friendship between our two Prime Ministers and our two countries. With these words, we now move on to our guest of honor. He has to leave, and therefore, I just want to mention that Right Honorable Oliver Dowden, the chairman of the Conservative Party and minister, we are so grateful to you for joining us today. Your participation was so important for this event to highlight that a Conservative government in 1972, in 1971, what kind of support they had, through their FCDO and through their politicians, and even number 10 in front of where the British Bangladeshi community, British Bengali community had demonstrated. That Conservative government shared the values of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and your participation today is only reflective. We want to revive those connections with the Conservative Party and the values. And I want to mention Prime Minister Right Honourable Boris Johnson on the birth centenary of the Bangabandhu in his commemorative message to Honourable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, what he had mentioned. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman for a democratic, free, secular, inclusive Bangladesh is inspiring. And he also mentions that UK and Bangladesh have been friends and partners for the 5 decades, from the huge rally in Trafalgar Square in 1971 and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's historic visit to 10 Downing Street after independence in 1972. And this year, on the 50th anniversary, Prime Minister Boris Johnson terms Bangladesh as one of the fastest growing economies of the world. And we look forward to working closely with you. Mr. Oliver Dowden, CBE, was appointed chairman of the Conservative Party and minister November 2021, but before that he did play a very important role as the paymaster general of the Conservative Party, and of course money matters. And he's been in the cabinet office as parliamentary secretary to the cabinet from 2018 January. You have the floor, sir, and thank you once again for joining us. I remember you joined the India-Bangladesh in Bangladesh Maitri Divash, and today thanks again for joining our event on Bangabandhu on 8 January. Thank you. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Commonwealth Secretary General, High Commissioner for India, and many other distinguished guests. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you today and joining you to mark this historic occasion, and such a pleasure to be joining you again twice in as many months. I thoroughly enjoyed the joint celebration we all enjoyed on the 6th of December. But this is an incredibly important milestone, so I thank you, Your Excellency, for inviting me to join you to celebrate this milestone in the friendship between our two. And of course, it marks that occasion when the Conservative Prime Minister, Sir Edward Heath, welcomed Bangabandhu to Downing Street this week in 1972, 50 years ago. And that really was a powerful symbol of the hard-won independence of the Bangladeshi people. But it will also laid the foundations for the deep and enduring partnership between our two nations. That partnership is bound by kinship, cultural ties, and shared prosperity. And Your Excellency, you talked about what Prime Minister Boris Johnson said, and I think it's worth us remembering that in the 50 years since then, as our Prime Minister recalled, we have begun to see Bangabandhu's vision of a new democratic, secular, and inclusive Bangladesh realised. Our two nations have worked together to build a brighter and more prosperous future, both for the people of Bangladesh, but also its 100,000 strong British Bangladeshi community here in the United Kingdom, a cornerstone of our nation. And I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you, to say thank you for the invaluable contribution that you have made to strengthening our two nations, for the thousands of jobs that you've created, to the sacrifices that are made on the front line every day in our precious NHS by nurses, doctors, and others from the Bangladesh community, and for the countless hours and pounds that you give to charities and communities up and down our United Kingdom, the billions of pounds that you invest in our country. And I see this every day, not only in my private life, but also in my role as the constituency member of Parliament for Hertsmere, and of course, in my role as chairman of the Conservative Party. The invaluable contributions the Bangladeshi diaspora continue to our nation. And in particular, as chairman of the Conservative Party, I want to thank everyone in the Bangladeshi community who represents our party, whether that's as a local councillor or volunteer, as an activist on the doorstep, volunteering, delivering, donating, supporting. We all share that common belief in upholding our democratic values, and you have demonstrated time and time again that you're willing to make the sacrifices too. So thank you. I know that your values are our values, our shared values, our commitment to the family, our commitment to hard work and to enterprise, our shared knowledge, belief, and understanding that we have sometimes to sacrifice our needs of today for the interests of the next generation. And I see that time and time again in the Bangladeshi community. So I salute those values, those Bangladeshi values, those British values, those conservative values. So as we commemorate this historic moment in the relationship between our two nations, in our shared history, let me finish by thanking you for everything that you have done and continue to do. And I wish you every success in your celebrations this year. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Mr. Dowden, particularly for mentioning, the value-based friendship and the values, and to uphold the values is extremely important. We also thank you for praising the British Bangladeshi diaspora. As I've just mentioned, that UK is Bangladesh's third largest export destination, second largest single country investor, and also the British Bangladeshi diaspora. In the UK, just our catering industry contributes nearly $4 billion US. And back in Bangladesh, they send remittances up to $2 billion plus US. So together we have a huge portfolio of economic prosperity that we share together under the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh and Prime Minister Boris Johnson. We have entered a new generation of cooperation, which is sustainability of our environment, so climate cooperation and green business cooperation. And we do hope that the conservative we will receive support from the Conservative Party in the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Edward Heath Award to create more friends of Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations and people who would contribute to our relation through economic, through climate change, and other aspects. We will declare the criteria of this award, but we're very pleased that we could do today on 8 January, honoring those values that Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman carried forward and founded Bangladesh on, and of course the values on which our two countries stand today. Thank you very much for your participation. I would like to acknowledge Honourable Foreign Minister's participation. He's waiting to address, but before that I have to give floor to two more people. As I say goodbye to Mr. Dowden, I request him to stay a little bit more to listen to Honourable Foreign Minister's speech. I now give the floor to Mr. Bob Blackman MP, who's the Vice Chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Bangladesh, but he's the Vice Chair of the Conservative Friends of Bangladesh as well. And of course, we just heard he's an honorary Indian. And Bob, why not an honorary Bangladeshi? So we're going to start working on that. Please don't let me down on that, because you know that you Bangladeshi community absolutely love you. You are a member of parliament from London, Harrow East, and you have that advantage of every day interacting with them. Bob has been there with the Bangladesh High Commission's every program, and I want to particularly express our gratitude for gracing all our programs that we had celebrated on the birth centenary of the Bangabandhu, on Bangladesh 50, as well as Bangladesh UK 50. You have the floor, Bob.
Well, thank you, Excellency, and thanks to colleagues that have spoken before me. One of the problems, of course, of speaking at this sort of position in the agenda is so many people have said the things that you'd love to say. All I will say to start with is that, unlike many of the previous speakers, I remember the visit of Bangabandhu to this country when then Prime Minister Edward Heath greeted him school at the time. And this was a very exciting event because we had members of the Bangladeshi community who were in my school. So this was seen as being a very important event, not just for the United Kingdom, but obviously for Bangladesh itself. We have had, of course, a year of celebrations of the independence of Bangladesh, quite rightly too. Unfortunately, almost all of them have had to be virtual. And I think we're all looking forward to the time when COVID is defeated and we can actually get back together and celebrate these events physically, as we should be able to do, hopefully in the not too distant future. I have had the privilege of visiting Bangladesh on 3 occasions, and each time has been a really enjoyable experience, even though we've been there on social action projects to help and assist and do things for the people of Bangladesh, as well as visiting the government. It's always been a joyous occasion, and it's great that our two nations are joined together in such importance, both our economies, but also our education systems and our rule of law. And I think that's key. And now Britain is negotiating international trade deals around the world. I hope that we will strengthen our trading relationships with Bangladesh and beyond. As Her Excellency, the High Commissioner for India, also mentioned, I am an honorary Indian, and I've received, of course, a wonderful award from the Indian government, which I'm truly privileged to receive. And I'll take up the challenge, Madam High Commissioner. I'll be delighted to be not only a good friend of Bangladesh, but seen as an honorary Bangladeshi going forward in the future. I don't want to take any more time because obviously we want to hear from His Excellency the Foreign Minister on the relationship. So I just wish everyone Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu, indeed, Jai Hind, and Namaskar to one and all.
Thank you so much, Bob, for particularly mentioning that you do remember the 8th of January. Bangladesh High Commission London is collecting all kinds of historic and media documents where it speaks of 8 January, exactly what happens. We've collected and some other paper clippings from those days, and it does speak that it was a very important visit, and it did come in the first pages of many British newspapers, as well as BBC. So, thank you for mentioning that. But particularly, thank you for mentioning all the relationship that Bangladesh and UK maintains, including those that we've inherited, institutions such as British Council, education, and of course, bilateral trade, but of course, the justice system. So we are strengthening these relationships on the 50th anniversary. In this context, I'd like to especially mention the Honorable Foreign Minister visited last year during the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's independence and our relationship, and had very fruitful meetings with Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab at that time, Liz Truss as Trade Secretary, and of course COP26 President Alok Sharma. But we this year on the 50th anniversary of our relations, we have the trade investment dialogue to go to the post-Brexit, post COP26 trade investment relationship. And also we are initiating the defense dialogue, and we've had a very successful 4th strategic dialogue just finished. So all those are creating institutions of a future of 50 years of very strategic Bangladeshi relations. And Bob, you need to continue to support all these relations and our British Bangladeshi community. Thank you very much for joining us today. I now have the pleasure of inviting Director for India and Indian Ocean Directorate of the UK FCDO, Mr. Ben Mellor, to speak a few words on this occasion. Ben has been, the entire South Asia High Commissioner's Polymer boss from the FCDO. So thanks for joining us today, Bob, Ben. And also, Ben has a very colorful career working at the DFID and different missions abroad. And currently he's the diplomat looking after the entire Indian Ocean Directorate. And I just want to mention that when I joined here as High Commissioner, his predecessor, I would like to recall Gareth Bailey, he had supported my request. All these years, for 50 years nearly, Bangladesh was with Pakistan, Afghanistan desk, and I made a request to British Foreign Office for moving it to the Indian Ocean Directorate for very obvious geographic and geopolitical reasons, because we are surrounded on 3 sides by India, and we have Bay of Bengal on the other side, and we do belong to the Indian Ocean Bengal rim. So thank you for doing that to the Foreign Office. But particularly, I would like to recall, that Foreign Office, UK FCDO or FCO at that time played a very important role on 8 January visit. And also before that, when Bangabandhu in 1969, after he was acquitted from the Agartala conspiracy case, he came to London to pay and perhaps thank the British Bengali community who had sent the Defence Counsel, Sir Thomas William Kissy. But when he did so, we do have a declassified document of the UK Foreign Office, which says that the High Commissioner in Islamabad had written to South Asia Directorate, perhaps somebody who was in place of Ben, to receive Sheikh Mujibur Rahman at the Heathrow officially, and also to organize an official lunch for Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in 1969. At that time, there was a deputy minister for South Asia, and he hosted that lunch. Therefore, there was a prediction, and in the secret cipher, it said that please receive Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and organize a lunch from the Foreign Office. And it said that he may be the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. So very accurate British intelligence working there. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. And you can, we'd request you to particularly recollect our Sutherland's receiving of the Bangabandhu on 8th of January. But of course, we want to thank you for a very successful strategic dialogue, and of course for organizing and supporting us during our Honourable Foreign Minister's visit last September and our Honourable Prime Minister's visit at COP26. With a big thank you, I give you the floor, Ben.
Thank you, Muna. Excellency Foreign Minister Momin, distinguished guests. As the Director responsible for UK-Bangladesh relations at the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, it is indeed an honour to be with you virtually today and to commemorate an important day in Bangladesh's history. I send warm greetings to everyone, both on my own part and on behalf of the Foreign Secretary and of Lord Ahmed, Minister for South Asia, on this important occasion. I will be brief, as I think we want to hear from the Foreign Minister, but just to go over the ground that has already been covered by so many distinguished speakers before me. When on the 8th of January 1972, when Sheikh Mujib was released by Pakistan at the end of the War of Liberation, he was asked where he would like to go. He decided that the United Kingdom would be his first destination. He arrived in London and met the then British Prime Minister Edward Heath, who had cut short his holiday to welcome Bangabandhu into Downing Street in the photo that is behind your right shoulder, Muna. And a few days later, Sheikh Mujib returned back to Bangladesh on a British Royal Air Force plane. At the time of Sheikh Mujib's visit, Mr. Heath remarked that the UK would do our utmost to help Bangladesh in the present situation. And within a few weeks, the UK became one of the first countries to recognise Bangladesh as an independent nation. As His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and the Prime Minister, Honourable Boris Johnson, noted in their Golden Jubilee messages last year, this visit laid the foundation of a strong UK-Bangladesh partnership and deep friendship between our peoples that has now continued for 5 decades. Today, we share those unbreakable bonds of kinship and culture, highlighted by our growing role in each other's prosperity and the incredible dynamism that we've heard about of the 600,000 strong British Bangladeshi community who contribute so much to both Britain and Bangladesh. Today is also a timely reminder to think about the future and recognise the extraordinary strides Bangladesh has made in the past 50 years. These achievements have been remarkable, from bringing more than 50 million people out of extreme poverty since 1990, to increasing life expectancy and reducing infant mortality, to boosting your economy to one of the fastest growing in the world. The UK is proud to have stood alongside Bangladesh and supported these remarkable developments. Bangladesh will always be an important partner of the UK, and as we enter the next chapter in our relationship, we will continue to work closely together on ensuring a cleaner and greener recovery from COVID-19, on tackling climate change, on achieving sustainable shared prosperity, and working together on global challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben, particularly for mentioning, the role, the message of Honourable Prime Minister Boris Johnson on our 50th anniversary. And I want to thank the Foreign Office for helping us obtain those messages. So you played a very important role. I just want to also thank you for mentioning the prosperity that Bangladesh has achieved over the past decade under our leadership of Honourable Prime Minister. I just wanted to inform everyone that in last months, just in 6 months, Bangladesh's per capita during COVID has jumped from 2025 to 2,540, about $500. It was a jump in 6 months, the last quarter of our financial year. And the predictions are that 2026, Bangladesh's per capita might exceed or near $3,000, and this is an IMF projection. So definitely, in that prosperity, UK plays a very, very important role because of our diaspora, as I mentioned, because of the bilateral trade investment, and of course, because of the presence of so many British multinationals in Bangladesh. So therefore, our value-based relationship, we look forward to taking it forward, working closely with the UK FCDO. But thanks to all the diplomats, including Sir Ian Sutherland, who went to receive Bangabandhu on 8 January, and thanks to Bangladesh diplomats, that time our acting High Commissioner, Ambassador Karim, and Ambassador Mohyuddin, who were there to receive, but also the Indian diplomats who received, then the Royal Air Force, thanks to Prime Minister Edward Heath, and also British Foreign Secretary at that time, Alexander Douglas Hume. We'd like to pay a tribute to them as well, and to the Royal Air Force on the way to Bangladesh. With these words, thank you, Ben, once again for joining us. I have the honor of requesting Lord Newby, the chair of the House group leader of the Liberal Democrat Party at the House of Lords. Thank you for joining us, sir. This is the first time we have you in our program, but we look forward to more participation for Liberal Democrat Party. Lord Newby was appointed as Government Deputy Chief Whip and Captain of the Queen's Bodyguard of the Yeomen of the Guard in May 2012, a very prestigious position. And he's a Liberal Democrat member the House. Currently, he's the group leader, but he has been up here since 1997. And we'd like to mention that we do have young British Bangladeshi diaspora joining the Liberal Democrat Party as well. And we know that there's a candidate from Tower Hamlets as well. We see another lady, Miss Rabina, who's been given a nomination or in the process of doing so. So we want to thank the Liberal Democrat Party for supporting our British Bangladeshi young generation and bringing them to politics. You have the floor, Lord Newby.
Very much, High Commissioner. It's a great pleasure to be able to speak briefly at this event on behalf of the Liberal Democrats. I suspect if you'd asked Bangabandhu in January 1972 how he thought things might look in 50 years' time, both in Bangladesh and in the Bangladeshi community in the UK, it's unlikely he would have envisaged the scale and pace of development and of the achievement both of the new nation and of its sons and daughters living here. Over the last 50 years, of Bangladesh has more than doubled, and as we've just been hearing, the population, the GDP per head has mushroomed. In 1972, it was under $100, and now it's approaching $3,000. I suspect most people who are not great experts about Bangladesh in the UK associate it primarily, the country, with textile production, but the economy has diversified extremely impressively in recent times, so that more modern sectors like pharmaceuticals and electronics are playing an increasing part in prosperity. And of course, Bangladesh is the home of the Grameen Bank, which has offered pioneering ways of supporting micro businesses, not just in Bangladesh, but across the world, and in particular in promoting the empowerment of women. It's also, incidentally, developed a pretty impressive cricket team. Here in the UK, the Bangladesh community has also grown, and having been first associated very much with the garment industry, restaurant sector, the community is now prospering across all sectors of the economy. And as we've heard, it's provided notable politicians at both local and national level. And as the High Commissioner has mentioned, in Rabina Khan, we have a standard bearer for the Lib Dems, who I know, along with other Bangladeshi politicians in the UK, has worked very, very hard representing their local communities over a number of years. And they play a very important role in our common life together. It, though, should be an opportunity for looking forward as well as looking back. And whilst there are many challenges which we in Bangladesh share, ranging from fighting COVID to ensuring sustainable economic growth, as a number of people have already mentioned, fighting the climate crisis is surely at the top of both our lists. Bangladesh is particularly threatened by rising sea levels and by rising temperatures and by climate change more generally. And equally here, we face major challenges in terms of adverse weather events, and more generally. So there's a big common agenda. We've heard already about how Bangladesh has taken the lead within the Commonwealth in promoting that agenda, not least at COP26. But I hope very much that in the years to come, our two countries will redouble our efforts to fight climate change by developing those new technologies, some of which I know you've done in Bangladesh, which are going to be so necessary if we're going to meet our joint climate change goals. However, today is primarily a day of celebration. I'm sorry that we can't do it in person, and that we'll soon be back to meeting face to face. But the fact that we're doing it in this somewhat disembodied manner doesn't, I think, in any way detract from the warmth of our feelings towards Bangladesh, or the enthusiasm with which we look forward to working together for the next 50 years to achieve our common goals, and on the basis of those common values, which a number of speakers have already mentioned. In particular, as parliamentarians, we look forward to with you, High Commissioner, in promoting our common agenda in the period ahead. But for today, simply again, happy anniversary.
Thank you, Lord Newby. We are today celebrating the 50th anniversary of 8 January, the day where Bangabandhu had met Edward Heath and made his maiden visit straight from Pakistan imprisonment to London as his first stop. And this was a stop of his choice. He was given the choice to go to Tehran. He couldn't go to Bangladesh. There was no overfly permission of Pakistan by over India, and therefore he had to take a transit, and this is the transit he chose. And this was not by accident, because of the relationship that he had enjoyed with UK in 1969 and with the British Bangladesh diaspora. Thank you very much. We know that we didn't have Bangabandhu's meeting with the Lib Dem leader on 8 January. However, the 8 January Foundation that we create and the Edward Heath Bangabandhu Friendship Award, please do, we do seek your party's support to that. And thank you for supporting and, British Bangladeshi young politicians into your party, but also for mentioning their contribution in British and Bangladeshi, economies. And for our, thank you for mentioning our economic progress of Bangladesh. At this point, we do have two Bangladeshi speakers, British Bangladesh speaker, but I'm going to give them the floor after the Honorable Foreign Minister, and I do apologize to them, Mr. Sultan Mahmoud Sharif and Syed Farouk, but I want to give the floor to, and I have the honor of giving the floor to His Excellency Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, our Minister. Honorable Foreign Minister of Bangladesh is, His Excellency Dr. Abdul Momen MP is not only a diplomat, but he's been an economist all his life. He served as a permanent representative of Bangladesh to the UN in New York for 7 years. But before that, he's spent his life teaching at Boston University, at Harvard University, at Harvard, and also he was here in the United Kingdom. And he's a member of Parliament. He was elected member of Parliament in 2018 at one constituency. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, that in the UK, the largest community here is the Sylheti community. And Honourable Foreign Minister, who was an expatriate all his life and held a US citizenship, had given and surrendered his UN citizenship to serve his country. And therefore, we always give him our standing ovation for that, for his patriotism and his commitment to serve his country and his people. Honourable Foreign Minister, sir, thank you very much for joining in today's event. As we celebrate 50th anniversary of 8th of January, historic 8th of January, we recall very fondly your visit here, your first official visit to the UK after joining office to the UK on early September 2021, and your official meetings with Dominic Raab, Liz Truss, who's currently the Foreign Secretary, and also COP26 President, and the special role that you've played during the COP26 in the UK, in Glasgow, assisting and supporting the Honourable Prime Minister. So you have the floor. Honorable Honorable Foreign Minister, sir, we can't hear you. I think you need to unmute yourself. You've been unmuted. I understand Honorable Foreign Minister is in constituency. Perhaps he can join us through the mobile. He can use the speaker of his mobile. We can't hear you, sir, not yet. Can we request his secretary to connect him to his mobile phone? Perhaps that would be better. Sir, we can't hear you. My request is if you connect, can we send the Zoom link on his mobile phone? Can I request my colleague, Mr. Monirul Haq, to join the iPhone? That's the iPhone Foreign Minister.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, thank
sorry.
you.
This is the new world order. I'm so sorry. You have to live with this. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. His Excellency Right Honorable Oliver Dowden, Member of Parliament, Chairman of the Conservative Party. His Excellency Mr. John Glenn, Member of Parliament, Minister of State and Economic Secretary to Her Majesty's Treasury, other distinguished members of the British Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. 50 years ago, on 8th January 1972, Bangladesh, father of the nation and the first president of independent Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, landed in London and wrote his historic homecoming journey from Rawalpindi to Dhaka, following a 9.5-month imprisonment in Pakistan during Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971. This year, as we continue to celebrate the historic birth centenary of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations, I feel pleased to be commemorating the 50th anniversary of the historic 8th January 1972 amidst so many eminent British friends of Bangladesh. On this momentous occasion, I pay my deepest homage to the architect of Bangladesh independence and the father of our nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, without whom Bangladesh could not have emerged as an independent and sovereign state in the world map in 1971, and most certainly not as a secular and inclusive people's republic. Ladies and gentlemen, the historic homecoming journey of Bangabandhu's imprisonment to the freedom, to the sacred soil of independent Bangladesh from 8th to 10th January 1972 is a highly emotional chapter in the 23-year Bengali freedom movement and its leader, especially Bangabandhu. When Bangabandhu was arrested by Pakistan military in the early hours of 26 March 1971, immediately after he declared Bangladesh independence and imprisoned in Pakistan for the next 9.5 months, the Bengali nation plunged into uncertainty about the fate of their beloved leader. Ladies and gentlemen, during the next 9 months, while our valiant freedom fighters fought an epic war of liberation and snatched victory on 16th December 1971, news was already out in the international media about sentencings to death by hanging of Bangabandhu in a summary trial by Pakistani junta. From a near execution by hanging in a prison cell in Pakistan, Bangabandhu's unconditional release and unannounced arrival in London on 8th January 1972, followed by stopover in New Delhi, and final homecoming to Dhaka on 10th January was therefore a historic turn of events and a great victory for pro-liberation forces of Bangladesh and India. Thanks to intense diplomatic campaign by the Provisional Bangladesh government and the Indian Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi, and here in the UK by the British Bengali diaspora and the then Prime Minister Sir Edward Heath. 8th January 1972, therefore, continued to bear an unparalleled historic, geostrategic, and diplomatic significance in the robust Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations of 2022 and beyond. It was Bangabandhu's founding values of a democratic and secular Bangladesh that earned him a hero's welcome on 8 January here at 10 Downing Street, and a strong friendship from the ruling conservative government of the day, as well as the opposition Labour Party, and an unconditional love from his Bengali British brethren here in the United Kingdom. Dear friends, today, therefore, I'm here to express my gratitude and the gratitude of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the visionary surviving daughter of Bangabandhu, and the people of Bangladesh, to all those who contributed to the release of Bangabandhu and his 8 January visit to London and road to historic homecoming. We are pleased that over the last few years, Bangladesh did an excellent job. It reduces poverty more than half. It increases per capita income more than 4 times. And it also did and wonderfully achieved most of the MDG goals and onward to achieve the SDG goals. Over the last few years, Bangladesh has, has managed 100% electricity and has become a land of opportunity. Over the last 12 years, our GDP growth rate was one of the highest, is an average 6.8% during this long 12 years of period. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to have Chairman of the Conservative Party, Minister Right Honorable Oliver Dowden, by my side, representing global Britain values, and take this opportunity to pay a special tribute to Conservative Prime Minister, late Sir Edward Heath. Sir Edward Heath, on his historic day in 1972, officially received Bangabandhu at 10 Downing Street by shortening his holiday vacation and addressed him as Mr. President of the independent Bangladesh, lent him his invaluable geopolitical advice apart from embracing him in front of 10 Downing Street. Our gratitude to Prime Minister Right Honorable Boris Johnson for his 2 messages on Bangabandhu's birth centenary and Bangladesh 50th anniversary this year, in both of which he paid tributes to Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and recognized historic 8th January visit to 10 Downing Street as the laying of the foundation for a lasting Bangladesh-United Kingdom friendship. I am also very pleased by the presence of Minister John Glenn, Member of Parliament of Salisbury, the home to Sir Edward Heath Museum, for honoring Bangabandhu and Sir Edward Heath. I particularly thank our High Commissioner, Saida Mona Tasneem, for announcing today the Sheikh Mujib Edward Heath Friendship Award for honoring the value-based friendship the 2 great leaders promoted between Bangladesh and the United Kingdom. I also pay my respects to the then Foreign Secretary, Sir Alex Douglas-Home, facilitating Bangabandhu's 2 visits to London in 1972. I had the privilege, and I recollect meeting him in London. As I was listening to Chair of the Labour Party, Ms. Anilas Dodds, contributes to the Bangabandhu, it touched my heart. While I thank her for being by our side today, I take this opportunity to pay our tributes to United Kingdom's two-time Prime Minister and the then Labour leader of the opposition party, Sir Dr. Harold Wilson, who too share a special friendship with Bangabandhu and called on Bangabandhu at the Claridges in 1972. Dear friends, I must also convey our government's heartfelt applaud to the very patriotic and enterprising British Bangladeshi diaspora in the UK, who never failed to demonstrate their faith and in Bangabandhu during his 23-year-long freedom struggle, and for the Trafalgar Square demonstrations during the Bangladesh War of Liberation in 1971. I would be remiss if I do not reaffirm our deep gratitude to Srimati Indira Gandhi and the Indian government, diplomats and British Indian community in the United Kingdom who played a crucial role for the release of Bangabandhu and actively supported our war of liberation. Indian President Sri B.B. Giri and Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi gave a most memorable welcome to Bangabandhu on 10th January 1972 in New Delhi and wrote his historic homecoming to Dhaka. On the 50th anniversary of historic 8th January, may I echo Prime Minister Boris Johnson and quote, "It was the visit of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman here in 10 Downing Street in 1972 that was instrumental in forging the friendship between our two countries. Today, Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing economies of the world, and we share the ambition to create an ever more prosperous and environmentally sustainable future." I unquote. Indeed, Bangladesh at 50 is a country that practices parliamentary democracy and believes in friendship to all, malice towards none. The principles of Bangabandhu and the principle of secularism under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, projected to be the 24th largest economy by 2030 by the World Economic Forum. Bangladesh calls upon our friends in Britain for a reset in our bilateral relations, for strategic engagements in green business and financing, climate change, maritime and COVID security, and countering terrorism towards our shared prosperity. Bangladesh is no longer a basket case with no hope of survival, but a vibrant economy and a land of opportunity. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu. May Bangladesh United Kingdom friendship live forever. Take all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Foreign Minister, sir, for those wonderful comments, for a very powerful speech on 8th of January and the significance, including the geopolitical and diplomatic significance of 8 January, and as well as reminding the United Kingdom, acknowledging the contribution of British Bangladeshi community in 1971 overseas freedom movement, as well as the contribution that they're making today in the economy of both our countries. I also want to thank you for particularly acknowledging cross-party support to Bangabandhu during 8 January, and also to mention that where Bangladesh-UK relationship is heading towards and should be heading towards in the next 50 years. You gave very clear indications as to we need to have a reset in our relationship, because the relationship during the past 50 years have been quite age-centric and under the perception of the aid dependability. However, today Bangladesh wants to build a relationship of economic and sustainable and strategic vision, with a vision that Bangladesh shares with the United Kingdom. And also you mentioned about the reaffirmation of the parliamentary democracy in Bangladesh and all those values, secularism, based on which our relationship Bangladesh wants to see grow with the United Kingdom. Thank you for reminding us that, sir, and for your valuable comments. We once again thank you, and we hope that you'll be visiting UK again Just wanted to inform you that on the occasion of 50th anniversary of Bangladesh-UK friendship, we do propose to, we do look forward to some visits, high-level visits from the UK, and I'm counting upon Ben on working on that and supporting us in that. But definitely we look forward to the visit by British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss to Bangladesh. And most importantly, we're really keeping our finger crossed and hoping that there will be a royal visit by His Royal Highness Prince Charles, who wanted to visit Bangladesh in 2020 but had to postpone due to COVID. And currently his office, we hope, would be rescheduling it, and we look forward to UK FCDO support in that regard. And Honourable Foreign Minister, thank you once again for joining us today. Sir, please don't leave us. We do have two important British Bangladeshi diaspora. We have a member of Bangladesh, Mr. Syed Sajidur Rahman Farooq. We were expecting Mr. Sultan Mahmud Sharif to join us and say a few words. He represented the generation of 1971. He was a member of the Student Action Committee. However, he cannot join us because of health reasons today, but we do have Mr. Syed Farooq to speak on behalf of the British Bangladeshis here. But I know that a large number of British Bangladeshi community has joined us today, sir. Currently, we were joined by about 150 at the beginning. Right now, we have about 100 sitting in this meeting, and I want to particularly thank you, sir, for acknowledging their contributions. I want to thank all the British Bangladeshi diaspora who joined us today, and particularly request Mr. Syed Farooq to speak a few words on the occasion. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Excellency Saidamullah Tasneem. Today is a very emotional day, historic day, the 15th anniversary of 8th January. It was a very emotional, very historic for UK diaspora and Bangladesh. Other than us, Bangladesh in 1971.
Farooq, if you could come a bit near to your mic, we can hear you better.
7th March.
Thank you.
And on early morning of 1971, 26th March, Father of the Nation, Sheikh, declared. And during the 9 months, we have lost 3 million people to Bangladesh. Through their blood sacrifice, we gained the flag of red and green. We gained our independence. শুধুমন্ডলী আজকের বাংলাদেশ মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর নেতৃত্বে এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে বাংলাদেশ, সেই এগিয়ে যাওয়া বাংলাদেশ পিছনে রয়েছে জাতির পিতা শেখ মুজিবুর রহমান। 10 জানুয়ারি বাংলাদেশ ফিরে আসে। সেই 10 জানুয়ারি বাংলাদেশ ফিরে এসেছেন বলেই আজকের বাংলাদেশে এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী। 10 জানুয়ারি বাংলাদেশের স্বদেশ প্রত্যাবর্তন করেছিলেন বলেই বাংলাদেশের মুক্তিযুদ্ধ চেতনা স্বাধীনতার মূল্যবোধ আবার ফিরে এসেছে। 10 জানুয়ারি বাংলাদেশে ফিরে এসেছেন বলেই আজকের বাংলাদেশ এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে একটি অসাম্প্রদায়িক বাংলাদেশ, গণতান্ত্রিক বাংলাদেশ, সমাজতান্ত্রিক বাংলাদেশ এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে। আজকের বাংলাদেশ during the COVID-19 crisis, where the whole nation, the whole world is having a crisis of economy, but Bangladesh under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh, the growth of 2021 has increased by 5.43%. During this pandemic, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh, Bangladesh has achieved the per capita income 2,564. The world's Honorable Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, Dr. A.K. Momin, has mentioned the World Economic Forum. The HSBC Global has declared Bangladesh to be the 26th largest economy in the world by 2030. The Price Waterhouse has declared Bangladesh will be the 28th largest by 2030. শুধু বন্ধুরা আজকের বাংলাদেশ সেদিন 8 জানুয়ারি লন্ডনে ছিলেন আর 10 জানুয়ারি বঙ্গবন্ধুর স্বদেশ প্রত্যাবর্তন হয়েছিল বলেই আজকের বঙ্গবন্ধুর স্বপ্নের পথে আজ হাঁটছেন মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী। And Honorable Prime Minister has taken Bangladesh into high tech. When he came to Glasgow last year, the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, has commented that Sheikh Hasina is the most powerful, most influential negotiator for the COP26. Distinguished guest, last year on the message, American Foreign Minister Henry Kissinger has commented, "Tolabihin juri, the Tolabihin juri the gas Bangladesh." Today, President of United States Joe Biden has commented last year's Golden Jubilee message, and he commented, "I look forward to working with you, respecting our commitment to build an even brighter future for the people of our both nations over the next 50 years and beyond." Joe Biden আরো বলেছেন, I quote, "You are hosting of 1 million Rohingya refugees is an example of the world of humanity and justice. The United Nations, United States will continue to be a steadfast partner in finding a durable solution to this crisis." শুধু মন্ডলী, আজকের বাংলাদেশ মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী শেখ হাসিনা 18 কোটি মানুষের প্রধানমন্ত্রী, 18 কোটি মানুষের নেত্রী নন। আজকের মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী হচ্ছে শেখ হাসিনা, বিশ্বনেত্রী। আজকের শেখ হাসিনা
I think we've lost Mr. Farooq's connection. Thank you very much for those very inspiring comments from the British Bangladeshi community by Syed Sajidur Rahman Farooq, who recollected British diaspora's contribution then and now in 1971, and of course how much they rejoiced from across the pavilion, from across the road at the Claridge's Hotel on 8 January 1971. They were chanting the slogan "Joy Bangla" and "Joy Bangabandhu," and many British Bangladeshis are sending me comments in thanking us to invite them because they were recollecting the 8 January visit of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. I want to request the Honourable Foreign Minister to stay to see a documentary that the Bangladesh High Commission London has prepared on 8 January, and also it will be followed by a small cultural, Sarod recital dedicated to Bangabandhu, sir, and I request our participants to stay for the documentary. It does reflect on the history of 8 January, a little bit in the context of geopolitics of that time. Thanking Mr. Farooq, I would like to request Mr. Munib to give the documentary, please, so we can see the 8 January documentary.
Father of the nation of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the undisputed leader of independent Bangladesh, declared in his thunderous voice on 7 March 1971.
রক্ত যখন দিয়েছি, রক্ত আরো দেব, এই দেশের মানুষকে মুক্ত করে ছাড়বো ইনশাআল্লাহ। এবারে সংগ্রাম আমাদের মুক্তির সংগ্রাম, এবারে সংগ্রাম স্বাধীনতার সংগ্রাম।
The struggle this time is the struggle for our freedom. The struggle this time is the struggle for our independence. And yet, on March 25, 1971, instead of a promised transfer of power to Bangabandhu's Awami League that won landslide victory in 1970 general elections, the Pakistani junta launched the Operation Searchlight. It was the gravest genocide since the Second World War to annihilate ethnic Bengalis by the invading Pak army. Witnessing the massacre, Bangabandhu declared Bangladesh's independence in the early hours of 26th March 1971. He was subsequently arrested and taken into imprisonment in Pakistan for the next 9.5 months. Meanwhile, valiant Bengali freedom fighters at the clarion call of Bangabandhu fought an epic war of liberation for 9 months. Later, they were joined by Indian armed forces and snatched away victory on 16th December 1971, defeating Pakistan occupation forces. In the United Kingdom, Bangabandhu's devout followers and the Bengali British community tirelessly campaigned for the Bangladesh Liberation War. They raised funds, organized long marches, rallies, and held demonstrations at the Hyde Park, the Trafalgar Square, and the Small Heath Park in Birmingham, chanting slogans, "Release Bangabandhu," "Stop Genocide," and "Recognize Bangladesh." Hundreds of prominent British parliamentarians, rights activists, and common people also joined the Bangladesh freedom movement in the United Kingdom. Under tremendous international pressure by the independent Bangladesh government and the then Indian Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi, the Pakistani government was forced to release Bangabandhu. He was sent to London on 8 January 1972, en route to his historic homecoming to the soil of independent sovereign Bangladesh on 10th January 1972. At 6 a.m. on 8 January 1972, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was received at the London Heathrow Airport, Queen's Villa, VVIP Lounge, by senior representative of Her Majesty's government, Sir Ian Sutherland, diplomats from Bangladesh High Commission in London, as well as from the Indian High Commission London. As President of independent Bangladesh, Bangabandhu was accorded royal protocols and security by Her Majesty's government and lodged at the Claridge's, London. Hundreds of Bengali British diaspora gathered at the Claridge's to get a glimpse of their beloved leader on 8 January, chanting the slogans, "Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu." What else made 8 January a special day in the Bangabandhu and Britain story was a hero's welcome he received at the number 10 Downing Street by the then Conservative British Prime Minister, Sir Edward Heath. Sir Heath made an exception to rush back on a short notice from his New Year's vacation to receive Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The British Prime Minister addressed Bangabandhu as Mr. President. The then leader of the opposition, Sir Harold Wilson, also called on Bangabandhu on 8 January at the Claridge's, providing cross-party recognition of Bangabandhu and Bangladesh. And yet, to the rest of the world, what made 8 January the most memorable was Bangabandhu's first international press conference at a crowded ballroom at the Claridge's.
Today, I am free to share the unbounded joy of freedom with my fellow countrymen who have owned their freedom in an epic liberation struggle. The ultimate achievement of this struggle is the creation of an independent, sovereign People's Republic of Bangladesh, of which my people declared me as the president while I was a prisoner in the condemned cell, awaiting the execution of a sentence of hanging.
Sir Edward Heath also arranged a special Royal Air Force jet to fly Bangabandhu to Bangladesh via New Delhi. There, Bangabandhu received yet another heroic welcome by the then President and Prime Minister of India before he finally returned to his Golden Bengal on January the 10th, 1972. Bangabandhu's 8 January meeting at the number 10 Downing Street is considered in many ways Britain's de facto recognition of independent Bangladesh and its president. It also laid the very foundations of a spatial and value-based Bangladesh-UK friendship. This was spatially recognized by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson in his recent commemorative message to Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina during the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's independence.
It was the visit of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman here in 10 Downing Street in 1972 that was instrumental in forging the friendship between our countries. And I fondly recall being welcomed to Bangladesh with a great deal of warmth and generosity in 2018.
Bangabandhu's value-based kinship with Sir Edward Heath, Sir Harold Wilson, and many more British politicians would last until his brutal assassination. A man of peace and non-violence who joined Mahatma Gandhi's 1946 peace mission, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman founded Bangladesh as a secular people's republic from an Islamic republic in South Asia. And on 8 January 1972, Bangabandhu laid a long-lasting foundation and an enduring friendship with Great Britain, which is based on shared values of democracy, secularism, inclusion, and progressive aspirations of mankind. On the 15th anniversary of the historic 8 January, may the indomitable spirit of the Bangabandhu inspire all Bengali men and women, whether in Britain, Ireland, or in Bangladesh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Foreign Minister Sir, for back with us for the video. I want to thank everyone who's participated today in our 50th anniversary of historic 8 January Bangabandhu and Britain event, and just want to reaffirm the leadership of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman as the undisputed architect and leader of Bangladesh's Bengali freedom movement as well as Bangladesh independence. I want to quote Time magazine, a British magazine, in their article and cover story in August 1971, wrote on Bangabandhu, a man of vitality and vehemence, Mujib became the political Gandhi of the Bengalis, expressing their hopes and voicing their grievances. Not even Pakistan's founder Muhammad Ali Jinnah drew the million-strong throngs that Mujib had attracted in Dhaka. Nor, for that matter, has any subcontinent politician since Gandhi's days spent so much time behind bars for his political beliefs. The BBC in 2004, in a listener survey, had given Bangabandhu the title of the greatest Bengali of all time, because the survey itself said it was in search of the greatest Bengali of all, and where the names of Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore and Professor Amartya Sen, Nobel laureates, had come up. But Bangabandhu assumed the first position at the top ranking due to Bangabandhu's values, due to the enormous and unprecedented leadership that he created for the Bengali ethnic race in South Asia, and his contribution in creating the third secular democracy in South Asia, the third state, independent state in South Asia, the first, people's republican democracy in South Asia. That we just heard in the documentary from an Islamic Republic. So today, as the birth centenary of Bangabandhu continues this year until 31st of March, I want to thank Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina for extending the centenary until 31st of March, whereby we get an opportunity to celebrate 4th of February, that is coming up, 50 years of Bangladesh's independence, 50 years of Bangladesh-UK diplomatic relations, and also we continue to celebrate 50 years of Bangladesh's Golden Jubilee, and of course, the birth centenary of our father of the nation, without whom there would be no Bangladesh. With these words, I do want to sign off today, but before that, we have a Veer Rasa, a Sarod recital that we were supposed to show in the beginning, but because of the rush of the speakers, we could not show it, but we will end it with that. This is a Sarod recital dedicated to the Veer Rasa. V means the valiant, the epic story of the valiant, which is the epic story of our founding father, the bold and the visionary Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. It is performed by Rajrupa Chaudhary from Bangladesh, and also Sadia Islam Chaudhary Mo, Islam Mo, her group will dance with it, and I hope everybody will enjoy it. Joy Bangla and Joy Bangabandhu. Please enjoy.
Good morning. My sincere thanks to the High Commissioner of Bangladesh to the United Kingdom, Her Excellency Saida Muna Tasneem, and all the distinguished guests. I'll be dedicating today's recital to the father of the nation, Bangabandhu, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman.
Thank you very much once again to everyone, especially Honorable Foreign Minister, for joining us today and staying with us from Sylhet. Thank you very much, sir. We're truly grateful for your participation. We look forward to your participation again on 4th of February, the day UK recognized Bangladesh. We hope that we'll be able to organize another virtual event. Currently, the COVID situation in Britain doesn't allow us to hold physical programs, and that's why we do apologize to everyone who joined us by virtually that we could not celebrate such historic moments and 50th anniversary of 8 January physically, but if we could, we would have. So apologize for that. I just want to recognize that on 8th of January, there are a number of eminent British media and personalities and journalists who had visited the Claridge's Hotel, first international press conference by the Bangabandhu. And I want to particularly mention David Frost, who came to Claridge's to interview the Bangabandhu, who invited him to go to Bangladesh to interview him. But I would like to hear mention that on Sunday Times on 13 June 1971, Anthony Mascarenhas did highlight, there was an article called Genocide where he showcased and highlighted the atrocities that were being committed during Bangladesh genocide by the occupation park forces. And also we'd like to recall Mark Tully and other journalists, including from BBC Bangla and also William Crawley, who were there at the who had interviewed the father of the nation, Bangabandhu, during his several visits and transits through London. Bangabandhu enjoyed a special relationship with Britain and especially with British Bangladeshi community, and I hope that British Bangladeshi community and Honourable Foreign Minister will all support the 8th January Foundation that Bangladesh is to create. We need cross-party support to that, but we request our Honourable Foreign Minister to be a patron of the 8th January Foundation so that High Commissioners come and go, but at the end of the day, his support would really mean a lot, and we would look for British Bangladeshi diaspora to support and mentoring this foundation so that 8 January is never obliterated from the history of Bangladesh-UK relations. With these words, let Bangladesh Chirjivi hope, and I want to thank our Honourable Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, for visiting you, and we do hope that Prime Minister Boris Johnson, where Honourable Prime Minister visited the UK for COP26, but also made a visit to London and spoke at the British Parliament and was rated as top 5 deal makers at the COP26. But she did visit with a gesture during the bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Boris Johnson on 2nd November. She did mention that she was visiting on the occasion of 50th anniversary, and she's invited Prime Minister Boris Johnson to visit Bangladesh in 2022. During the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh-UK relations, and we do look forward to these visits from the UK. Long live Bangladesh-UK friendship. Khuda Hafiz.
Recording stopped.